Hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Jessica, and in today's video, I want to talk about how chronic stress can affect your gut, but can also lead to some surprising changes outside of your GI system as well. Let's dive in. So first, we need a little bit of background to understand how the brain and the gut are actually connected. So the gut has its own nervous system called the enteric nervous system. Now, this enteric nervous system is responsible for digestion. It obviously happens without us having to think about it. Now, this enteric nervous system also communicates with the brain via afferent and efferent fibers and also through the vagus nerve. With this connection, we have what is called the gut-brain axis. And so the gut and the brain are actually speaking to each other via different feedback mechanisms. So we have hormones that get produced, we have neurotransmitters that are secreted. So we have a whole system where the gut and the brain are talking to each other. And hopefully this system is working well. However, when we have chronic stress, this system starts to get dysregulated and the communication starts to break down, and then we start to see some problems manifest. So let's talk about some of the things that can actually happen because of this chronic stress and this dysregulation that occurs. First, we often see a change in peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is that rhythmic contraction that happens all along our gut, and that is responsible for us being able to eliminate waste. So when we are digesting is when peristalsis occurs. And now, if you recall, the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for our rest and digest. As we're digesting, when we're in a relaxed state, all the blood starts to flow to our stomach and our gut and all of our intestines, and it moves things along. Now, this only really happens when they're under that parasympathetic dominance. When the sympathetic nervous system is in charge, it's time for fight or flight. It's not time to sit down and digest your huge meal. It's time to mobilize your resources so that you can run away and survive. So this is why we often start to see diarrhea or either constipation occur when we are under chronic stress. And if this pattern goes on for long enough, that's when we get a diagnosis called IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. And this actually makes total sense that now we have an issue with elimination via it's happening too fast or it's happening too slow because that gut-brain connection has been interrupted. Another thing that we can see with chronic stress in the gut is that we start to see a lot of inflammation, and sometimes that inflammation can go outside of the GI system as well. When we're chronically stressed, we're chronically releasing a lot of elevated cortisol. Now, that elevated cortisol actually then will trigger the release of histamine from mast cells that live inside our gut lining. Now, this histamine then starts to irritate that gut lining and can actually damage the integrity of that lining, creating little holes, if you will, where particles that should be contained within the GI system are able to escape and go out into circulation. This kind of process is also known as leaky gut if it continues for long enough, and then you start to get sort of systemic reactions as well. And again, when this happens, we start to get inflammation, which can damage our gut lining. And also when this happens, not only do you get inflammation in the gut lining, so you can have abdominal pain, gas and bloating, you can also start to have things outside of the GI system like joint pain as well. Another thing that can happen due to chronic stress and the effects on the GI system is that our immune system can start to become dysregulated. You might have heard before that up to 70% of our immune system is actually located in our gut. And this is true that a huge portion of our immune system is located in our gut. So when we are chronically stressed and our feedback loop is interrupted, we start to see changes in a particular immunoglobulin known as secretory IgA. Now, that antibody is responsible for protecting our gut lining from invaders or from particles. Usually it will kind of catch those invaders and then let the immune system deal with it. But when we get chronically stressed or we have damage to that gut lining, we start to see a decrease in secretory IgA. This leaves us more vulnerable for multiple types of infections. So things like respiratory infections, infections in the GI system, even genital urinary infections as well. We also start to see a shift in the immune system when we are chronically stressed as well. Not only are we more susceptible to bacteria and viruses, but we also start to see a shift in more of an autoimmune response. We start to shift towards this Th2 type of response where our body then can sometimes recognize our own types of particles or our own organs as foreign. And that's when you start to see a lot of autoimmune conditions develop. So you'll often see when people are chronically stressed, they'll either flare if they already have an autoimmune condition, or you start to see new diagnoses of autoimmune conditions during this time. Now, another big thing that we see with chronic stress in the GI system is that we start to see a huge change in our microbiome. Now, this is an area that is being researched more and more each day, and we're learning more and more about all the good and bad bacteria, or all the flora that lives in our digestive tract. We know that that flora is responsible for helping us break down different things. It's helping us create more neurotransmitters such as serotonin. It also is responsible for helping us create things like GABA as well, both neurotransmitters that help with our mood and how we feel. Now, when this microbiome gets disrupted, we can see changes, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, but we can also see changes in our mood. We can start to see things like an increase in anxiety or an increase in depression. So it really does affect so many different systems. So I hope you can understand how chronic stress not only affects your GI system, but because of that and because of this connection with the gut and the brain, we start to see effects in other types of systems as well. So changes in our mood, changes in our neurotransmitter production, changes in our immune system, and even things like systemic inflammation. So that's a lot of information, but you might be wondering, okay, well, how do I know what's going on? So stick around for part 2 of this video, where I'm going to share with you the functional tests that I actually use to assess what is going on with your GI system due to chronic stress. So I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can know when the next video goes up. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.